What's up, YouTube? Ryan Panny here. Hope you guys are doing reasonably well. You're in list number 1. This particular one I've been doing for, I think it's my 4th year doing it. I really enjoy the idea of what songs defined a year for somebody as opposed to your favorite songs, because it's not necessarily the same thing. There's certainly a good amount of overlap, and there is in my list as well, but it's more about like what are the first songs that pop into your mind when you think about a given year of your life. It could be a song that was kind of a cultural moment that just takes you back to what that time period was like and kind of the zeitgeist. It could be a song that was just ubiquitous amongst your particular friends or your girlfriend or whatever. It could be like a completely mediocre song that you just found yourself returning to a lot as some sort of coping mechanism or some sort of guilty pleasure. There are so many reasons that a song could end up on this list for you. For me personally, I actually keep such a close eye on this stuff as the year is progressing that what I eventually came up with here was actually really boring to me because it was so ingrained and so obvious at this point. Like I was going to bed one night and I wrote on my phone like 10 songs that define the year 2020, and I just vomited out like 8 or 9 of the ones that ended up on this list. It was just that easy. And then of course you second guess yourself a little bit, but they ended up being pretty accurate. But anyway, here they are, the top 10 songs that defined 2020 for me, a truly crazy year. Number 10, I have to begrudgingly include Cardi B's WAP. It's so shocking when something so trivial and so intuitive, like a rap song about pussy, becomes a hot button political issue. Like you realize just how little we are able to agree on. It's awful. I would like to steer clear of the whole "there are two Americas" cliche, but seriously, there are people who think that this song is a stunningly brave manifesto of female empowerment, like a sexual politics or a feminine mystique for people who like twerking. And then on the other end, there are people who think this is like the worst possible thing that could happen to a child is hearing this song. And if they had a way to fucking time travel to 1985 and add this to, what was it called, like the Dirty Dozen or whatever the PMRC did, this would be like number 1 on the list. Now, the people in the former category I can actually empathize with a little bit more because they might just be unaware that people like Lil' Kim have existed for longer than they've been alive. You know, if you're just like a college-age intern about Noisy writing about how groundbreaking it is to sing about your box, maybe they're just not old enough to remember that this has been around for a while. I will always remember 2020 as a year where, despite a global pandemic and a historically contentious election cycle, a song about pussy dominated the conversation for more than 30 seconds. Now, as a listener, as a hip-hop fan, I'm actually pretty impartial to the song. I'm not crazy about it, but as someone who has listened to both Cardi and Megan for a while now, it's actually like exactly what I thought a song by the two of them would sound like to a T. So it was the opposite of eventful for me. When I saw this song was coming out, I just like imagined pretty much this in my head. So that's why I was a little confused by all the commotion that it caused. And if this song did one thing, it did force me to go back and listen to Invasion of Privacy. And I gotta say, like, that is such an above average mainstream hip hop record. It really is. Drake's song War was significant for me because even though it actually came out, I think last Christmas, it was technically the first song I ever heard in the new year. I remember getting back from whatever New Year's party I'd gone to, opening YouTube, and there was Drake skiing his way through Borrowed Flows. I didn't like it at all, actually, but then a couple months later it appeared on Dark Lane demo tapes, which, by the way, Drake's little like loose mixtape thing, very underrated, more interesting than his albums, quite honestly. And when I heard it in the context of that project, it clicked for me. All of a sudden the stupid accents didn't annoy me. The co-opting of the drill flows, I mean, I don't actually listen to that style of music, so I'm not passionate about that. That wouldn't bother me. It was just the instrumental that I was absolutely mesmerized by in this song. It is some of the coldest, iciest, most like pre-game face shit ever. I listened to this song so much this year, especially driving at night, when I wanted to just get that stone face going and just get a little boost of determination and drive. I feel like Drake's music, at least the more aggressive side of him, does do that for a lot of his listeners. You know, metal and hard rock caused me to be very animated and very like almost childish and regressive, you know, air drumming and shit and making the same dumb faces I've made since I was 8 years old listening to music. But there's something about a really mean sounding hip hop song, especially when it's mostly in the instrumental, that just gives you that 1,000-yard stare. It's like the exact opposite reaction. And I love that feeling. And I use this song a lot when I was just, I don't know, feeling pressure professionally or just like felt like I was kind of wavering on my goals and just need to tighten up a little bit. I can't expect everyone to relate, but what are you gonna do? The 1975 song, Guys, which closes out their latest record, is just the pinnacle of wistful and nostalgic vibes. It just pours out of this song in such a beautiful way. It's actually a song about the band, but I prefer to hear it as a love song. I like the twist at the end when you realize what he's talking about, but I actually, when I hear those warm and soft vocal harmonies and the light and airy guitars, it takes you on a montage of someone's love story. It doesn't have to be yours or someone you know, just someone's. This song just always delivered that warm and fuzzy feeling for me. Number 7 is the lovely Victoria Monet with Experience. This is purely a favorite song pick. I just listen to it so much. You know, one of the worst takes about WAP is when people say, you know, forget the feminism argument. Isn't it just hot to hear girls sing about that? No, it's not. It's vulgar, which is fine. But to me, Victoria Monet's slick R&B sound, that is sexy. This song is as danceable and fun as it is sensual. And that's mostly due in part to Victoria Monet's just amazing voice. And this song in particular has a really great bass line too as well. Number 6 is my worst offender in the guilty pleasure department. Like, I'm not even sure if this song is good, but Kygo with Beautiful. Kygo is someone whose music I have really not liked for several years. I see it as this cheap pop EDM shit. I'm not sure this is any different, but I really enjoy this song. The drop in it is so massive and so joyful. And it does have a lot of that tropical house flavor that made Kygo a household name. This song was it was pure escapism for me. And it lasted a lot longer than I thought. I thought it was gonna be one of those songs that I kind of beat to death for a few weeks and then just left alone. But here I am, like, I don't know, 7-8 months after it came out and still listening to it. It was just, when this came out, I was doing like 85 hour work weeks at the height of my industry exploding this year, and this was the escape I got for a couple minutes every morning. It was very useful for me, and you know, it's as cheesy as it gets, which is beautiful. Cracking the top 5 is Morgan Wallen's 7 Summers, which I've already referred to on this channel as kind of an updated version of Eric Church's Springsteen. It just really nails that nostalgic, narrative-driven pop country thing. I gotta tell you, I love the song a lot more than I thought. I did not expect to enjoy it, but at first I was particularly addicted to those fat, trebly clean guitars in the main theme, which really sound gorgeous in any speaker system. And I love how universal the lyrics are. Not in a generic way, in a good way. I mean, unless you're like a priest or celibate or something, I can't imagine anybody over the age of 25 listening to this song and not feeling something. Like, all of us have some summer romance in the rearview mirror that we occasionally reflect on, and this song just does a beautiful job of pressing that button, so to speak. Echo Smith's Diamonds was the first song of the year that I loved, and that's always significant. Like, the album that it's on dropped the second week of January, so just all those miserable days in the first few months of the year where it's dark and cold, at least where I live, this bright and bouncy track really carried me through. It's so infectious, and even though the lyrics actually do not send a particularly happy message, that did not stop me from feeling happy listening to it. It was on all the cardio playlists I had before the pandemic happened and my gym shut down. And here we are, you know, it's literally 11 months and like 11 and a half months, and I still feel the same way listening to it now. Number 3 goes to the great Weeknd song, In Your Eyes, which I correctly predicted the day the album dropped would be the next single, which it was. How could it not be? The production on the song is amazing. The snare sound, the way that the keys are so intelligently wiggled into the mix. Of course, there's the climactic sax solo. I just beat this song to fucking death, and it still hasn't gotten old. Along with actually the next song on After Hours, Save Your Tears, that was another favorite. And the runner-up here in terms of defining 2020 for me is Tame Impala's On Track. I have spoken about the song a couple times on the channel, so I don't want to rehash it too much, but on an album that is just chock full of incredibly anxious and self-conscious ruminations about the passage of time, this was the standout track that allows you to just take a deep breath and assures you that you're okay and everything's going okay. And I have no idea what the intent behind the song was, but I do know that that particular function is incredibly valuable in everybody's life. Whether it's a spouse or a close friend or a grateful client or a coworker or a song lyric, you have to have some way of readjusting your self-perception when it starts to go off the rails. There has to be a voice in your head that goes, wait a minute. I know I'm really beating myself up today, but you know, I've accomplished this goal and that goal, and I'm working towards that goal, which makes me excited. Without that, you really just fucking spiral. And this was the song this year that did that for me. You know, strictly speaking, I'm still on track. I had many an emotional moment with this song. And number one, I did reserve for my favorite song of the year, which is not coincidentally my most played track as well, Pet Shop Boys' Happy People. It is just physically impossible for me to put this song on and not start dancing in like the most embarrassing possible bodily contortions. It's perfect. It's one of the best dance singles I have heard in my life. And it's really simple though. It's not like it's breaking any ground or anything. Although, when you listen to it for the 1,000th time, you do start to notice these subtleties. Like there are these string notes that are way down in the mix, but just kind of holding out notes that creates a little bit of an ambiance to make the hook feel that much more full. And songs that are as immaculately produced as this one and sound as good as this one, it's not an accident. It really is a meticulous thing, and it just happens to come across so effortlessly. And I do love the not so subtle juxtaposition between this exuberant instrumental and some pretty heartbreaking lyrics. Like it's top tier irony, and in an odd way, it actually adds more joy to the song because you're distancing yourself from the narrator's kind of sad sack emotions. So the song is doing everything but putting you in that place that you're observing. So yeah, listen to the song if you missed it for some reason. It is awesome. And that is that. This is definitely a favorite video of mine to make every year because it's so emotionally driven. It's like I said before, it's like a time capsule of everything I was feeling, thinking, working towards, struggling with, persevering through. It's all wrapped up in these songs, and it's a pretty powerful thing to step back after 12 months and observe that and reflect on it. At least if you're somebody who sees the world through that lens. Like if music means a lot to you and invokes emotions. For some people it could be film, it could be art, visual art. It could be a lot of things. But for me, I'm definitely a musically centered person. So it has a pretty powerful effect on me. So definitely make a list of these for yourself if you haven't, because it's just interesting. But musically, I hope there are a couple songs in here for you to check out for the first time or maybe re-listen to gain a little bit more perspective. And they're all about to be old news. How about that? And as always, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video and are not yet subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so by clicking right over here, as well as checking out any of the other music-related content that I publish on this channel on a weekly basis. I really appreciate you guys watching, liking, disliking, just engaging in any fashion. Twitter, Instagram handle @RyanPantyMusic. Again, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you soon.